Chapter 169. Yi Tian continued to break into the God of War Tower. 9th floor, 10th floor, 11th floor. Yi Tian showed great strength, and he easily broke through the 12th layer, which was very rare among the holy levels. In fact, Yi Tian could still continue to break to a higher level, but he didn't continue to break through. For the time being, his points were enough. His total points had accumulated to 385 points, which was enough to comprehend the God of War monument for a year. He had successfully entered the holy list, and his ranking was not low. If he continued to break through the 13th layer, wouldn't he be in the top 16 of the holy list? In this way, it would be too shocking to the world. But even if he only broke through the 12th floor, such a record completely stunned everyone. Outside the Ares Tower, all eyes were fixed on the 25th place on the holy list. Number 25 on the holy list, Yi Tian, Scattered Cultivation Alliance, the 12th layer of the God of War Tower's Great Sage level combat power. What is Saint King combat power? The attack power reaches 100 dragon power, and the speed and defense are also kept up. If the speed and defense are lacking, even if you have the attack power of the Great Sage, you will not be able to obtain the power of the Great Sage. And the 11th layer of the Victory Tower is the Great Sage level combat power. Yi Tian has broken through the 12th layer of the Battle Saint Tower, which is much stronger than the average Great Sage level powerhouse. If he can break through the 13th layer of the Battle Saint Tower, he can obtain the title of Saint King level combat power. In the entire Zhonghai Superbase, there are a total of 16 Saint King level combat power. Maybe there are hidden Saint levels that do not really show their true strength, but the number of Saint King levels is definitely not very large, at most about 20. And the combat power displayed by Yi Tian has reached the quasi-Saint King level combat power, crushing the average Great Saint level. He has just stepped into the Great Saint level to have such combat power, and his talent can be imagined how high it is. Suddenly, Yi Tian's name once again resounded in the Zhonghai Superbase, and attracted the attention of many emperors in the Zhonghai Superbase. Originally, Yi Tian was only a king level, and those emperor levels wouldn't care about Yi Tian at all. But Yi Tian had risen strongly all the way, and now he was about to have the combat power of the Saint King level, so they naturally cast their eyes. At this time, Yi Tian had already returned to his home and began to build a top-level cultivation room. He had already gathered enough materials to build 3 cultivation rooms at once. One for himself, one for his sister, and one for Xiao Shui, Xiao Jin, and Xiao Zi. 3 days later, the construction of 3 top-level cultivation rooms was completed. With a top-level cultivation room, coupled with a first-class top-level Yuan Force cultivation secret technique, Yi Yu's cultivation speed can be imagined how fast it is. At this time, Yi Yu was already a Grand Master, and it was estimated that it would not take long to reach the ultimate of the Grand Master, and he could even hit the King level. In the top cultivation room of Little Blood, Xiao Shui was cultivating and comprehending the mysteries, and Yi Tian came in. Little Blood, I went out this time to get a treasure. I think you are useful to you, you see. Yi Tian took out the Water Dragon Ball. The Water Dragon Ball is a dragon ball, and the Little Blood is also a dragon and should be useful to it. Water Dragon Ball. Xiao Shui stared at the Water Dragon Ball with a longing face, his eyes widened, and he couldn't wait to swallow the Water Dragon Ball in one gulp. Master, the Water Dragon Ball contains a wealth of dragon power. In fact, I was still a little malnourished when I was born, and I was born prematurely among the War Blood Dragon clan. If I have this Water Dragon Ball, I can make up for my own shortcomings and become a truly powerful War Blood Heavenly Dragon, and even my talent will be transformed. Master, this Dragon Ball must be given to me. Xiao Shui said urgently. It was originally for you, you can eat it. Yi Tian threw the Water Dragon Ball over. Xiao Blood swallowed the Water Dragon Ball in one gulp, and a stream of pure dragon power emanated from the Water Dragon Ball and was absorbed by Xiao Shui. Master, I'm starting to fall asleep, and when I wake up, I'll be stronger than you. Xiao Shui, while speaking, did not forget to compete with Yi Tian for strength, and slowly fell asleep after dropping such a sentence. And Yi Tian also began to retreat, constantly comprehending 2 gold-level sword skills, and occasionally entered the virtual world through the God of War ring to test his combat power and sword skills. And just like that, time passed slowly. Half a month has passed. With the foundation of the Morningstar sword talent and 10% sword intent, the gold level sword technique Tianwang sword domain and the gold level sword skill instant slash have all been cultivated to the consummation level by Yi Tian. The gold level sword skill Tianwang knife domain of the consummation level can increase the attack power by 18 times. Although it is not as good as the amplification effect of the normal gold level knife skill, it is a large-scale group attack knife skill. If it can be increased by the same as the normal single attack gold level knife skill, then where would it be? And after the gold level sword skill is cultivated to the perfection level, its amplification effect is very good. It can increase the attack power by 20 times, and it also comes with 2 times the attack speed, which is definitely a very terrifying sword skill. Other than that, Yi Tian's deep brain domain has opened up to 5%, and his body strength has reached 500,000 elephant power. Yi Tian simply calculated his strongest attack power, the power of 500,000 elephants in body strength, which is equivalent to the power of 0.5 dragons, and the increase in yuan power is followed by the power of 1 dragon. The pseudo-mystic level strength talent has reached 90%, which can increase the attack power by 80 times, and the instant slash can be superimposed to increase the attack power by 20 times. In this way, Yi Tian's strongest blow reached 1,600 dragon power. The power of 1,000 dragons is the attack power of the Saint King, and Yi Tian also has a top-level spatial talent. Even if it is a Saint King level powerhouse with the power of 2,000 dragons, it is not Yi Tian's opponent. Not counting the top-level spatial talent, Yi Tian's true combat power has reached the Saint King level. If you add the top-level spatial talent, he is almost invincible at the Saint King level, unless it is an invincible king level that surpasses the Saint King level. My strength is already very strong, enough to form a force. Yi Tian thought. Forming a force was an idea he had for a long time, but he never took action. Because his strength has improved too fast, and he has been changing places, from the Linhai base to the Demon Sea base, and then to the current Zhanghai super base, he has not formed a force. Now, he has enough strength to stay at least in the Zhanghai super base for a long time, and the super base is basically the highest level base, and no matter how strong the other bases are, they also belong to the super base. So, Yi Tian wasn't ready to move anymore, so he settled here. As a result, he came up with the idea of establishing a presence at the Zhanghai super base. The advantage of establishing a power is that he doesn't have to do many things himself, and he can also inquire for news for himself. For example, if he wants to know who has the talent of arcane strength, he can ask his subordinates to inquire, and any news will be delivered to his ears as soon as possible. In this way, he will save a lot of trouble. Other than that, his men can also go into the wilderness, or even farther away, to hunt beasts, and if they encounter more talented beasts, he will also know. For example, the fierce beast with the talent of time discovered by the Moon God sect. If he had not taken the task of the Holy Maiden of the Setting Moon, he would not have encountered the beast with the talent of time at all, and no one would come to tell him. That's the benefit of having power. And one of Yi Tian's strongest aspects is to copy talents. He can check everyone's talents, there is no possibility of missing geniuses. Even if other forces have talent test beads, they can't test all talents. Many talent test beads can only test a single talent. For example, the test beads that specialize in testing fire talents can only test whether this person has fire talents. The most common talents are cultivation talents, speed talents, strength talents, and defense talents, and the others are talents of the 5 elements attributes, and other talents are difficult to test. But Yi Tian tested it at a glance, and easily excavated the geniuses who had been missed. The best age to cultivate a genius is when you have just cultivated, that is, at the age of about 15 years old. You should find a group of 15-year-old young people and train the first batch of teams. Yi Tian decided. Chapter 170. There are definitely no geniuses who have just established a force. The real geniuses basically come from within the big forces or in the family, because almost all the descendants of the strong have no low talent. It was almost unrealistic for Yi Tian to recruit those families or powerful juniors. People were unwilling to join, and Yi Tian did not dare to guarantee the loyalty of the other party. Thus, Yi Tian was destined to only find suitable geniuses from among the civilians, and there were many civilians in the Zhanghai base, including several civilian areas. Jingu district is a relatively developed area, and those civilian areas are basically ancestors who have no strong people, and they are very mediocre from generation to generation, or their parents are strong, but they fell and died, and they can't keep their business, so they have no choice but to move into civilian areas. In short, the civilian area is not prosperous at all. There are not even high-rise buildings, only old buildings, and the life of the civilians is also very difficult, and few powerful warriors enter the civilian area. And once some geniuses in the civilian area rise, they will basically not return to the civilian area, which leads to the prosperous area of the Zhanghai superbase becoming more and more prosperous, and the civilian area becoming weaker and weaker. But I have to mention that there are many civilians in the civilian area, and under the large number, there will always be some geniuses, but if these geniuses do not have a high enough cultivation talent, it will be difficult to rise. For example, an ordinary person with a second-class cultivation talent, but he has a top-level special talent. However, he gave up cultivation without cultivating to the level of a martial artist, started some work, and became an ordinary person. Such a genius is undoubtedly buried, if not discovered, for a lifetime. This day, Yi Tian came to the Lunan civilian area, which is one of the many civilian areas of the Zhanghai base, with about 200,000 people. As soon as he entered the Lunan civilian area, Yi Tian's copying talent covered a radius of 2 kilometers. The talent of human beings was seen by him, forming a dense virtual picture. Sure enough, the talent of civilians is not very high. Yi Tian frowned. Most civilians have only inferior or elementary talents, and there are very few ordinary people without talents, which is much better than the Linhai base and the Demon Sea base, but it is too ordinary to put it in the Zhanghai superbase. Yi Tian had strict requirements for his subordinates. If he had a morning star talent, even if he didn't have any special talent, he was willing to cultivate. If he had a relatively strong special talent, even if the cultivation talent was a little worse, he was willing to cultivate. If he didn't have a powerful special talent, and he didn't have a morning-level cultivation talent, he wouldn't be able to cultivate, and it was one of his principles to choose his subordinates. If you choose a group of ordinary geniuses, even if you cultivate them, they are only ordinary grandmasters or ordinary kings, and it won't be of much help at all. There is no good talent. Yi Tian shook his head, gave up this area, and continued to search. Lunan's civilian area. On a narrow street, a 16-year-old boy had just finished work and looked tired, holding a packet of medicine in his hand. His hands clenched tightly, and he didn't dare to let go at all. This pack of medicine is life for him. His sister is sick and urgently needs this pack of medicine to save her life. It is he who has worked for a month, and today he bought the expensive medicinal materials with his boss's salary. Well, it is expensive for him. But for those powerful martial artists, such medicine is just so ordinary that it can't be more ordinary. Warrior, one day I will also become a powerful warrior, the young man said with a firm face. But when I thought that I had to work every day to be able to support myself and my sister, where would I have time to cultivate? Moreover, he is only a second-class cultivation talent, and he is cultivating the basic body forging method, so he doesn't dare to practice several times a day, otherwise he will be too tired, and he won't have the strength to work the next day. He has been cultivating since he was 15 years old, and in a place like Zhanghai Superbase, where the vitality of heaven and earth is strong, his cultivation has only just stepped into the martial arts level, not to mention the entire Zhanghai Superbase, even in the Lunan civilian area, it is a weak existence at the bottom. It was almost time to reach the door, and the boy breathed a sigh of relief. But suddenly, a voice came. Lindsay. What good things are you holding in your hands? Lindsay is him. Hearing this voice, the young man Lindsay's face changed. He was really afraid of something. He hurriedly ran home. As long as he ran back and closed the door, it would be fine. The laws of the Zhanghai Superbase were also strict. Even powerful warriors did not dare to break into the house and rob it. But right now, he was afraid that the man would snatch his medicine, and if there was no evidence, he couldn't do anything about the man. Besides, even if he defeats the other party, it will be a long time later, and his sister is still sick. How can he wait so long? Swish! A figure appeared in front of him. It was a teenager who had been bullying him, Zhang Long. Zhang Long is 1 year older than Lindsay, has good talent, is a medium cultivation talent, and is now a powerful martial artist, but such strength and talent can only stay in the civilian area. Zhang Long likes to bully weak martial artists, and Lin Zi is one of the many targets of Zhang Long's bullying, and he even likes to rob Lin Zi's things. Bring it! Zhang Long's speed was so fast, before Lin Zi could react, he snatched Lin Zi's medicine bag away. What is this? Zhang Long looked at the medicine bag and muttered in a low voice. Zhang Long, this is my sister's medicine to cure her illness. It's useless to you, give it back to me, Lin cried. Medicine bag? Zhang Long opened it and saw a lot of medicinal materials. Although they were not very precious, they were worth thousands of yuan. Ha ha ha. Yes, if you sell it, you can sell it for 2,000 yuan. This is what you bought with a month's salary, hee hee, it's mine now. Zhang Long laughed. Don't, give it back to me. Lin Zi rushed over, wanting to snatch back his medicine bag. But if a little martial artist wants to snatch something back from a martial artist, it is simply impossible. Look for death, Zhang Long said coldly. He didn't dare to kill Lin Zi, but he still dared to hurt Lin Zi. It was just a big deal to pay some medical expenses, it was nothing. However, just as he was about to make a move, his body couldn't move. A mere martial artist dares to be so arrogant in the later stage. A young man walked in, and the moment the young man walked, everything seemed to be quiet. After an instant, everything returned to its original state, but Zhang Long sat on the ground sweating profusely, exhaling heavily. Terror, great terror. Zhang Long had never seen such a terrifying youth, and a wisp of breath seemed to freeze everything. Even those powerful grandmasters in the civilian area were far from having such an imposing momentum. Big shots from the rich district. Zhang Long realized the identity of the youth. I've seen my lord. Zhang Long fell to his knees, very frightened. This young man is naturally Yi Tian. Yi Tian ignored Zhang Long, but walked in front of Lin Zi. You go and get the medicine. Lin Zi nodded, walked in front of Zhang Long, and took the medicine bag from Zhang Long's hand, but Zhang Long didn't dare to stop it, because it was the order of the adult. Why don't you get out of here? Yi Tian said coldly. When Zhang Long heard this, he hurriedly ran away. Thank you, sir. Lin Zi knelt down and thanked him. Get up, Yi Tian said lightly. Lin Zi got up and said, My lord, I'm going home to torture my sister to drink. She's sick. Let's go, I'll go with you. Yi Tian said casually. My lord, my house is a little messy. Lin Zi said a little embarrassed. Aren't you welcoming me? Yi Tian said deliberately. Naturally not. Lin Zi was a little frightened, and then said, The adult is willing to come to my house as a guest, so let's come with the villain. Chapter 171. Lin Zi's home is very ordinary, just a very ordinary small bungalow, not even a yard. And the bungalow is also very old, belonging to the kind of dilapidated house. Entering Lin Zi's house, Yi Tian saw a young girl lying on a straw mat bed. The girl's face was pale and very weak. This girl is Lin Zi's sister, Lin Yi. When Lin Yi saw Lin Zi, she said weakly, Brother, you're back. Is this your friend? Yi. This is an adult from the rich district. Lin Zi hurriedly introduced Yi Tian to Lin Yi. As soon as she heard Yi Tian's identity, Lin Yi was so frightened that she hurriedly wanted to stand up and salute Yi Tian, for fear of offending him. No need to get up. Yi Tian waved his hand. Lin Zi was about to decoct his sister's medicine, but Yi Tian stopped him and said, No need to decoct. Although your medicine is good, and you can recover quickly from treating ordinary diseases, your sister's body is too weak. The medicine is a great tonic, and it's not a good thing to take this medicine if your body is too weak. Ah, my lord, what should I do? Lin Zi panicked. He didn't know pharmacology at all. He only heard that this medicine could cure most diseases, so he bought it for his sister. But he didn't take into account the problem of his sister's physical weakness. When other people were sick, they went to be treated immediately, and their bodies were not very weak. But Lin Yi had been sick for a long time, and she had been eating no nutrients, so her body was worse than that of ordinary children. She naturally couldn't stand the strong medicine. It's nothing. Yi Tian flicked his fingers, and a drop of white medicinal liquid dripped into Lin Yi's mouth and entered her body down her throat. Soon, Lin Yi's face returned to a normal blood color, and her breath stabilized. Brother, I feel better. Lin Yi sat up from the bed and said excitedly. Thank you, sir. How much is that medicine? I will work hard to make money to pay you back in the future. Lin Zi thanked him. Forget it. That medicine isn't worth much. Yi Tian said casually. But in fact, if that drop is a medicine to heal wounds and diseases, one drop would cost hundreds of thousands, which is unimaginable to ordinary people. If Lin Zi really wanted to pay it back, he wouldn't be able to pay it back in a lifetime if he didn't become a martial artist. Lin Zi, do you want to become a martial artist, stronger than the young man named Zhang Long just now? Yi Tian suddenly spoke. Ah, I can also become a powerful martial artist? Lin Zi was stunned. He knew that his talent was inferior to his cultivation talent, and it was difficult to become a martial artist. Even if he was lucky enough to become a martial artist, there was no way to go further. As for the treasures that could improve his cultivation talent, he didn't know about them at all, and he hadn't heard of them, so naturally he wouldn't think of such a treasure. No, in fact, your talent is very good. As long as you want me to, I can train you to become a real powerhouse, and even your sister can join my strength and get my training. Yi Tian said very seriously. He didn't look at Lin Zi pitifully. There were more poor people. He wouldn't help an ordinary person for no reason. The reason why he helped Lin Zi and Lin Yiyu was because he valued their talents. If others can't discover their talents, can't Yi Tian find them? Under Yi Tian's copying talent, the talents of their brother and sister were very clearly displayed. Human, Lin Zi. Cultivation talent, inferior. Speed talent, top, unawakened. Swordsmanship talent, top. Strength talent, medium, unawakened. Human, Lin Yiyi. Cultivation talent, morning star. Speed talent, top, unawakened. Formation talent, morning star. Sword talent, high, unawakened. When he saw the talent of these two people, Yi Tian was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that these two people who met his recruitment target turned out to be brother and sister. Lin Zi's combat talent was very good. The top swordsmanship talent and the medium strength talent could obviously be superimposed. As long as his cultivation talent was improved, he could definitely grow into a very powerful king list powerhouse. And although Lin Yi is inferior to Lin Zi in terms of combat talent, her cultivation talent is very high, not weaker than the real genius of Zhanghai Superbase. The talent of the Morning Star is enough to make her a saint-level existence, and she also has a high-level swordsmanship talent and a top-level speed talent, so her combat effectiveness will not be weak. But more importantly, she has the talent of the Morning Star formation. What is the concept of the Morning Star formation talent? Yi Tian is still the first time he has encountered the Morning Star formation talent. The Zhanghai Superbase may have a Morning Star array mage, but it is definitely very rare. Once it is discovered, it is definitely the four major forces that protect it layer by layer. Such a talent is too rare and too important. Yi Tian didn't expect his luck to be so good, and he could tap such a genius. At this time, Lin Zi was shocked. The big man from the rich area actually wanted to recruit him, and said that he wanted to cultivate him? Really? A swindler? Definitely not. Although he didn't know how much the potion that Yi Tian had just saved her sister was worth, it made her sister well in an instant. Such a potion was definitely very expensive, and it wasn't worth that drop of potion if he and his sister were sold. Besides, Yi Tian's strength, he also guessed 1 or 2. He must be a big man above the Grand Master, and it was impossible to deceive the two of them, ordinary people. My lord, I am willing to join your forces. Lin Zi knew that this was an opportunity, a chance to become a powerful martial artist. If it wasn't for Yi Tian's help, he wouldn't become a martial artist for the rest of his life, and once Yi Tian left, Zhang Long would continue to bully him. You have to be clear. Once you join my forces, you will never betray. Yi Tian said in a deep voice. I will never betray my lord. I, Lin Zi, swear here. Lin Zi made an oath, and Lin Yi also swore that she would not betray Yi Tian. At this point, the two joined Yi Tian's forces and were also the first batch of members. After the two joined, Yi Tian learned a little about their family situation. It turned out that the two had never seen their father, only that their mother was an ordinary woman, and their father was a powerful warrior. As for how powerful, they had no idea. At that time, although they also lived in a civilian area, they lived in a large courtyard, and their family was also well off. But in an accident, their father died in the wilderness and never returned, and their mother died a few years later, leaving both of them behind. Originally, their parents also left a lot of money for them, but because they were young at the time, they were adopted, and those funds were also occupied by the family. A few years later, the family ran to a wealthy neighborhood and was never seen again. And the two brothers were arranged by the civilian district officials to live in this small house, and they have been there until today. I see. Yi Tian estimated that the father of the two should be a king level, and he was also a very powerful king level, so the two of them were born with very talented children. Lord Yi Tian, what is the name of our forces? Lin Yi asked curiously. Call. Only then did Yi Tian remember that he hadn't given the force a name. What should I call it? Our force is called Heavenly Pavilion. Yi Tian gave a name and said. Hearing Yi Tian's hesitation and decision, Lin Yi suddenly realized a question. Lord Yi Tian, this force can't be what you just established, right? Lin Zi on the side was startled, and hurriedly said, Yi, don't be rude to Lord Yi Tian. He was afraid that his sister would ask Yi Tian directly, which would cause Yi Tian to blame. It's nothing, the child is just curious to ask. But what Yi said is right, the power of Tianj has indeed just been established, but I believe that Tianj will definitely become one of the top forces of the Zhonghai superbase in the future. Yi Tian touched Yi's head and said. Seeing that Yi Tian was not angry, Lin Zi breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 172. Yi Tian included Lin Zi and Lin Yi in the new force of Tianj, so he naturally wanted to take them out of the civilian area. They also had nothing to pack, so they only took a few clothes and followed Yi Tian. As for Lin Zi's work, he didn't even mention it. He had already followed Yi Tian, a big man, and he still cared about the hard work of 2,000 yuan a month. Jinggu District. Yi Tian first arranged Lin Zi and Lin Yi in his villa, and then went to buy a mansion as the headquarters of his forces. After that, he arranged for Lin Zi and Lin Yi to live in the mansion. Then, Yi Tian invited his sister to start guiding Lin Zi's cultivation. Yi Yu was a grand master, after all, and it was easy to guide a martial apprentice. As for Lin Yi, she is still young, only 13 years old, and she currently needs to supplement nutrition and medicines that are conducive to her physical growth, striving to make her qualified for cultivation within half a year. And for now, there is one more important thing. Lin Zi's cultivation talent is too low. He is only inferior in his cultivation talent. If he doesn't change Lin Zi's cultivation talent, Lin Zi doesn't know when he will be able to be promoted to the martial artist level. Therefore, he must improve Lin Zi's talent, but not for free. On the same day, Yi Tian and Yi Yu formulated a contribution point and point exchange system, and put a series of treasures into the point exchange system of Tianj according to their point values. In the future, any member of the Heavenly Pavilion will be able to exchange points for treasures, and even for treasures that can improve their talents. The way to obtain points is based on the completion of tasks or the exchange of treasures, and so on. Yi Yu is responsible for all of this aspect. He is only responsible for finding geniuses. After the point system was initially perfected, Yi Tian called Lin Zi to him. Lin Zi, do you know how to divide the levels of cultivation talents? Yi Tian asked. They're divided into weak, secondary, elementary, medium, high, and top. Lin Zi said what he knew. Yi Tian nodded, and then said, in fact, the top-level cultivation talent can only be regarded as ordinary in the Zhonghai superbase, and above the top level is the transcendental level cultivation talent. A transcendent level cultivator can easily cultivate to the king level, that is, a level above the grandmaster realm. With your cultivation talent, not to mention cultivating to the king level, it is very difficult to cultivate to a martial artist. You should know this. I know, Lin Zi said a little lost. Yi Tian continued. There are many treasures in heaven and earth that can improve a person's talent, and your second-class talent can be completely promoted to a higher level with the help of treasures. Now, there is a treasure in the Heavenly Pavilion called the Transcendent Pill, which can raise a person's cultivation talent to the transcendent level, worth 1 million points. You only have 100 points for the first time you joined Tianj, and you can't afford to exchange it for the Transcendent Pill at all. But I can allow you to redeem the Transcendent Pill in advance, and slowly repay the 1 million points in the future, and it must be repaid within 3 years. If it's not completed, the interest of 100,000 points will be increased every year. You can choose this proposal, or you can slowly accumulate points to buy treasures that improve your primary cultivation talent, which is not difficult. Pavilion Master, I am willing to exchange for the Transcendent Pill in advance. Lin Zi said without hesitation. Transcendent level talent, that is a talent level that surpasses the top-level cultivation talent, and Zhang Longke, who has been bullying him, has only a medium talent. If he becomes a transcendent level cultivator, he can easily become a martial artist, an elite martial artist, a great martial artist, or even a grand master. Although he needs to repay the points within 3 years, and he will pay a lot of interest if he's overdue, he is confident that he will be able to repay them. What he was really afraid of was not being able to cultivate, not the so-called points and debts. Okay, sign the contract, and this transcendent pill will belong to you. Yi Tian took out a contract and said. Lin Zi signed the contract and made the contract, and Yi Tian also gave the transcendent pill to Lin Zi. Soon, Lin Zi swallowed the transcendent pill and achieved an extraordinary level cultivation talent. There are few treasures like the transcendent pill in Yi Tian's hands, but Lin Zi's other talents are very good and worthy of his cultivation. It is already the limit to pay for a treasure like the transcendent pill in advance, and it is difficult for the top forces to raise a person's talent to the Morning Star. The last time Yi Tian helped his sister to be promoted to the Morning Star cultivation talent, he accidentally obtained the talent pill, and there was only one of them, and that opportunity could not be replicated. And even if he had a treasure like the talent Dan, he couldn't give it to Lin Zi. He was cultivating his subordinates, and it wasn't a treasure. If Lin Zi wants to improve his talent in the future, he can only go and break through and find other opportunities. Expanding the Heavenly Pavilion. In the next few days, Yi Tian walked through several civilian areas of the Zhanghai Superbase, searched for almost all the civilians, and found a total of 100 people. Among them, there are 18 young people in their 20s. These are all very special talents, but their cultivation talents are not good, and they are still ordinary people. The rest are all teenagers and girls around 15 years old or younger, and the lowest of them are top-level cultivation talents. The reason why top-level cultivation talents are recruited is because they all have top-level special talents. And there are only 3 Morning Star cultivators, and this can be regarded as including Lin Yi. There are only 3 Morning Stars in the entire civilian area, which is really too low. But Yi Tian was already very satisfied. He had only initially created a force and was able to obtain 3 Morning Stars and a bunch of top-level special talents. Could there be anything he was not satisfied with? When this first batch of Heavenly Pavilion members has grown in power and let the reputation of Heavenly Pavilion spread, it will not be difficult to recruit geniuses in the future. In order to cultivate this group of geniuses, Yi Tian spent a huge price to build 20 top-level cultivation rooms. If he wanted to supply 20 top-level cultivation rooms, he didn't know how many yuan qi stones he would spend. Of course, if you want to enter the top-level cultivation room to cultivate, you have to spend points, so a series of tasks are assigned, and the matter of assigning tasks is naturally handed over to Yi Yu. At present, the assigned tasks are mainly to collect intelligence, etc. Wind Slaughter and the God of War Tower. Heavenly Pavilion developed steadily, and Yi Tian also worked hard to cultivate, striving to open up more deep brain domains as soon as possible. One day, 5 days later, a message came from Tianj. Wind Slaughter is about to break into the God of War Tower, and has arrived at the God of War Tower. This was the news that a member of the Heavenly Pavilion had inquired about, and it reached Yi Tian's hands as soon as possible. Collecting the movements of the geniuses of the Zhanghai Superbase is one of the missions of the Heavenly Pavilion. And there are Tianj disciples who are specifically squatting near the God of War Tower. After all, this is a big point task. Yi Tian, who was in retreat, hurriedly went to the God of War Tower. He had always been thinking about the mystical level strength talent of the wind and blood. This time, he could finally copy the opponent's mystical level strength talent, and let his strength talent completely transform into the mystical level. The Tower of the God of War. Yi Tian came here, and immediately caused an uproar. After all, Yi Tian is a powerhouse on the holy list, and his photo has already spread, and many people naturally know Yi Tian. I've seen Yi Tian great sage. I've seen Yi Tian great sage. I've seen Yi Tian great sage. One by one, the king-level powerhouses clasped their fists and said respectfully. At a distance, several Heavenly Pavilion disciples stared at their own pavilion master with adoring eyes. At this time, they already knew the identity of the pavilion master. It turned out to be Yi Tian, great sage on the holy list. That was a great saint-level powerhouse. And they were originally just ordinary people, but now they have joined the forces of the great sage. How lucky they are. However, they also remembered Yi Tian's advice: quietly inquire about the news, and do not reveal their identities.